So recently I've discovered a game that seems to bring the best of both worlds together. Something that's not as well known as a lot of other aim trainers or rhythm games that are out there today, but it's one that I've been enjoying immensely and it's criminally underrated. It's called Beat Aim, a game where the rhythmic flow of osu and the aim training of Kovaaks come together, made with a lot of passion and ingenuity in the mix. Since last year, I've been playing around with the likes of games like Aim Lab and osu and Kovaaks here and there from time to time. I would go on a bender and play them for a fair bit and then drop it later on, and repeat the cycle all over again. In that time though, I've been aware of other aim trainers like 3D Aim Trainer, Aimtastic, Aim Beast, and even the browser-based trainer known as Aim 400 kilograms, which is in fact a classic. But the biggest problem they usually have is that they can usually get repetitive after a while, and it becomes more of a case of disciplining yourself to continue going. While I've learned to relax in those type of games and have created a more chill environment playing them, I was always on the lookout for alternatives that could not only fit the bill, but actually make the process of aim training fun. Well, Beat Aim from my experience so far has been the closest thing I've found so far that does the job. The game has been in solo development under an esports player known as Kamika. His idea was to make an aim trainer that would not only be fun, but would be infinitely replayable. And this would be in the case of an AI generating algorithm that would let you take any song you want online or locally and then put it into the game, immediately generating a map for you to play. In this effect, it really is infinitely replayable. You can pick any song imaginable, even the cringiest of songs, and its algorithm will still do its magic. People that play rhythm games are accustomed to memorization. Even the hardest osu beat maps can be practiced endlessly until you remember it from the back of your hand, but that's not the case at all in this game. Because of its AI generating and scalable difficulty system, the patterns themselves generate differently from before. Osu players will have to adjust to this and understand that it's not necessarily trying to make beat maps for you that you can memorize, but to test your reflexes instead. This is where the Kovaaks influence comes into play. The connection between these games is that players use Kovaaks to improve their aim, and people play osu for the addicting rhythm-based gameplay. By bridging both, you can practice your clicking while listening to tunes, and the difficulty can go from easy to impossible, depending on how far you place the difficulty meter. The level of customization is pretty impressive here, giving you lots of percentages to manipulate to tailor-make your own experience. Of course though, your experience of shooters or rhythm games may vary on where you want to start from. I would say that you experiment around with the game's difficulty and settings until it feels manageable for you. You have your standard mouse movement that can be changed by a link to the mouse sensitivity converter website. Didn't take long for me to figure out, but other players may need to play around with their settings first. After that, you can then start downloading songs right off the bat or from the workshop itself. And if you don't like any of the songs here, that's fine too, because like I said, you can either download a song locally or grab a link from YouTube. Then it will generate a map for you and off you go. It's really that simple. You don't need to have any knowledge or experience with creating beat maps or anything like that. The AI generation system already does it for you. The targets will sometimes either appear as capsules or circles, or even arrow keys, which is where WSAD come in. A lot of the times though, you'll be clicking with the mouse because it is technically supposed to be like an FPS game, but with rhythm-based mechanics. You get points depending on your timing and accuracy. The longer you hold it, the bigger the combo and the more points you can accumulate. So it's kind of like osu in a way, and yes, there is actually an FPS version of osu. But to be honest, it's nowhere near as effective as this one in my opinion, because you're still playing beat maps that have a predetermined pattern. Whereas with the patterns in this game, they can appear in random directions, and the game hinges more on your reflexes than just memorizing them. If you're not used to 3D rhythm games like this, it can be a bit disorienting because of the constant movement you have to deal with, which is why I wouldn't recommend playing for way too long here. Rhythm games are an on-off thing with me. Sometimes I'm like, you know what, I'm just not feeling it right now, so I'll just drop it and move on to something else. Or say something like Kovaaks, which is good for maintaining raw aim while you explore other genres to play. And then I just can't bring myself to do it even then sometimes. Then I find a game like this where it's a blend of both. The loop is fun, I can add any song I want, and I can make it as easy or as hard as I want. So far I've been enjoying it immensely, but it definitely still has ways to go. And while the community isn't as large as say osu or Kovaaks, it still has enough people to help you out and give you tips on how to play the game better, or how to tackle higher difficulties. Keep in mind though that the game is still in early access, and historically, that's been a thing that keeps someone from buying it right then and there. But the developer himself frequently updates the game, and what's already there, I'd say, is more than enough to justify the price tag, not to mention with workshop support and added payment options for other weapons, among other things in the future that will come along. It'll become more feature-rich inevitably. Beat Aim has become a fast favourite for me within the rhythm genre, and while I personally find games like Kovaaks to be relaxing, it is refreshing to have an alternative that's actually fun from the get-go. In saying that though, I would approach this as more of a game with elements of aim training and rhythm-based mechanics. That way you can just appreciate it as a really well-made game, which it is. It has great customization, an infinitely scalable difficulty system, and access to songs that have a map generated for them. For what it is, it's really fun to play whenever I want to rhythmically shoot dots while playing some great tunes in the process. Definitely pick this game up if you're in the market for a rhythm-based shooter. Thank you for watching.